Whilst oil might seem simple, it's actually one of the most complicated things in your car. However, it can very easily be broken down. Today, I'm going to talk you through what some of these numbers mean and the importance of oil in your engine. So, the purpose of oil. In your engine, there are lots of pieces of metal spinning around really fast, and they are metal on metal. Now, this causes a thing called friction. And as this constantly happens, heat builds up. And as the heat builds up, the metal expands and then eventually can seize. So we have this thing here called oil that goes between all of these metal parts and creates a lubricant to stop the friction from happening. This then reduces the heat and increases the longevity of your engine. If the oil isn't maintained correctly, it can have severe consequences on your engine. For example, it can begin to sludge up and can cause your engine to seize, or it can get filled with tiny little metal particles, again causing severe damage in your engine. In the old days, it used to be a case of, sure, just stick whatever oil in it, oil is oil. Everything was basically 10W40 and that was it. These days, however, different manufacturers have their own specifications. Case in point here, we have Volkswagen. Now this is the 5W30 long life oil, and this meets all of Volkswagen's requirements. Their engines are a bit more strict than some, for example. So whilst you could potentially put this higher spec oil into a lower spec car, you cannot put a lower spec oil into a higher spec car. That is why we have these different ratings. For example, this Lexus one here is a C2/C3 spec, which won't work with something that's an A5/B5 spec. You don't need to worry about all of these different specifications because in store we will find out for you. However, it's handy to know that you can't just throw whatever into your car. But what's really important is this big number called the viscosity rating. And what this is how thin or thick your oil is at different temperatures. The W stands for winter or cold, and the second number is for when it is hot. So, for example, this will have a viscosity rating of 5 when it's cold and a viscosity rating of 30 when it's hot. This just means that as you drive, the oil changes thickness depending on the heat. And some engines maybe need it to be thinner for it to still function properly, and some maybe need it to be thicker. Now, as your engine gets that little bit older, say 20, 30 years old or whatever, it's common practice really to go for a slightly thicker rating just to help lubricate it that bit better as the engine starts to wear. However, for the most part, you will just be following the main number that is on these. Whilst your owner's manual of the car may tell you the correct rating for that car, we in store can also check it on our system to make sure you get the correct oil. And as an important reminder, if you ever see the oil light come on your dash, please stop driving immediately and come in store and get some oil, because if you drive on that light, that could be game over for your engine. Usually when that light comes on your dash, that means you have 1 litre of oil needed. And if you measure your dipstick and it's at the lowest point, it usually takes 1 litre of oil to get to the highest point, which would be our handy little touch-ups here. However, if you're doing a full service, you'll need the likes of one of these. Or if you're like me and your car leaks every 5 minutes, you'll need one of these for a touch-up as well. But as far as oil goes, that's kind of the basics and all really that you'll need to know as your average user. If you have any more questions about your oil, or if you need a top up or you need some advice about what your car needs, please feel free to call in store and we'll be more than happy to help. Hopefully this has been useful to you. If it has, feel free to share it on your timeline and to give our page a like. That would mean a lot. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.